Hello and welcome to this training video to support our team of moderators, lead moderators and principal moderators in using the moderation portal. My name is Liz Brownsword and I'm going to talk you through how the portal will be used. So in this video, we'll give you an explanation of the moderation portal, how to log into it, the synoptic assignments, how to navigate through your cohorts, how to view evidence and enter your moderated marks, how to refer back to the centre if you need to, the verification of the centre assessed components, the mandatory and optional units, and the employer involvement component too. So first of all, what is the moderation portal? Well, the portal is the online platform which City and Guilds is using to support the marking and moderation of our technical qualifications. Centres will submit their marks and a sample of evidence onto the portal. Moderators, in the centre of the process, will review the evidence and will carry out the moderation activities using the portal. And finally, we here at City and Guilds will carry out some quality assurance of the marking and moderation, viewing the marks and evidence via the portal too. So if you were a moderator with us last year, you'll be familiar with how the portal is used. The look of the system has been revised for this year's delivery, but the core functionality generally remains the same. It means that what you're required to do in terms of viewing evidence and entering your moderated marks is exactly the same as last year. And with this video, we hope to support you with some guidance on how to navigate through the system and how to use it. The web address, as you can see on the screen right now, is moderation.cityandguilds.com. It's really quite straightforward to access the moderation portal. You'll have been sent your login details from our IT team already, which will take you straight onto the login page. Otherwise, you can simply type moderation.cityandguilds.com into your web browser and it'll take you to the login page, which looks a bit like this. I would recommend that you save the link, the moderation.cityandguilds.com, into your favourites, and that will make it easier to access the portal. What I'll do now is I'll show you how the portal is used using our demonstration system. Remember, you'll be using the link moderation.cityandguilds.com, and I'll be showing you how to use the portal on a demonstration system. Okay, so here on the login page, you would enter your login credentials, your username and your password. You'll be asked to enter a new password when you log in, so please keep this password secure at all times. You'll then be asked to accept our terms and conditions. That'll be just the first time that you ever log into the portal. So in this case, I'll log in, I'll put my password into the system. And then you'll be taken to the moderation portal homepage. So on this page, you can access the assessment screen where you'll view your allocated centres and their uploaded marks and evidence. That's the assessment page there. Don't pay any attention to the central parts here, the tasks and messages. They're not being used in this series of moderation. It's just simply this left-hand side here. Let's first take a look at the account profile, which is through this avatar for Alison Moderator. And this gives you the actions that are associated with your account. Don't pay any attention to the learners and notifications on the left-hand side here. They're not being used in this series either. If you click on Avatar, you have the option to upload a photograph to the system, like a profile picture on Facebook, and I'll close that. And preferences here just allows you to make some settings, to change some settings within the portal, how you like to view it, things like that. Finally, the password over here, that will allow you to change the password if you want to, and obviously the logout button will log you out of the system. Okay, so now if you click on the assessment page, this will take you to the area where you will undertake your work. The default view is empty within the search assessment records, so we need you to filter down to the assessments and cohorts which you're going to moderate. You'll just select the information within this. For Alison.moderator, she has been allocated 2 centres there. I'm going to choose centre 037756. and I'll filter further using the course box. I'm going to choose the qualification, which I'm going to be moderating at that centre, and in this case it's 017225. Finally, filter down further using the assessment search box, and in this case again it's the Synoptic 023 that I'm going to be looking for. Select that and then click on Search Learners. So by applying these 3 filters, you've limited your search only to the learners who have done this synoptic assignment on this qualification number at this centre. And I'd suggest that you have the centre number, qualification number, and synoptic assignment number in front of you to help you identify your cohort when you're using the system. So in this demonstration, you can see that I have 10 learners within this cohort, displaying 1 to 10 assessment records. The number of learners at your centre is likely to be much larger than this. Just note that the system only displays the default number of 25 learners. There it says 25 per page. If you have more than that, this can be extended to 100 learners per page for you to view the full cohort. And alternatively, you can scroll from one page to the next here, one of one. For you, if it was more than 25, it would be 1 page of 2, 1 page of 3, things like that. So your learners will all be visible here on this screen, and their details is all arranged into columns: learner, company, course, etc. You have the learner name. Its surname is actually first here, so the student's name is actually Testing Blue, with the learner's enrolment number, the centre number, the qualification number, assessment ID. Here's the assessed result. It's the marks which have been entered by the centre for these learners is entered into this column. We then see the marker's name, and over here is the evidence. Has the centre uploaded any evidence? And yes, evidence exists for this learner. In this situation, and finally, the final column is the status, marking complete. So in this case, I've got 10 learners, and if I scroll down, all of them have had paper clips, all of them have had evidence attached, and all of them have been marking complete by the centre. It's really important to mention here that you must not begin moderating the work submitted by the centre until all of the candidates in your cohort have been marked or entered by the centre as marking complete. And if any of the cohort appear as marking in progress, then it suggests that the centre has not provided all of the marks or evidence. It's also really important to note that that's actually a difference from last year. Now, if you were a moderator with us last year, you didn't have access to the centre documents until the centre had fully marked it as marking complete and it was sent through to you via the portal. On the portal this year, if you commence moderation at this stage while it's at marking in progress or ready for marks with some evidence uploaded already by the centre, you won't have a true picture of the centre's sample of evidence. Now, the centre has a deadline to submit their evidence by the 18th of May, and unless your centre has been given an extension for exceptional circumstances such as a bereavement or medical reasons, all of the centre's work should be there on the portal after the 18th of May. If you don't have it there, the technicals and moderation support team will be able to confirm this to you, whether there's been an extension granted. So just check the status before you start moderating. Make sure that all of them have been marked as marking complete with the evidence attached. So there are some functions on this screen which are useful for you here. You're able to sort the columns into numerical or alphabetical order by clicking on any of these blue words at the top of the column. So by clicking on learner, you can sort it. Here I believe it's already in alphabetical order, B, E, G there. We can sort it into reverse alphabetical order and back to alphabetical order. The company is obviously going to be the same, so there's no point in me sorting that, or the course or the assessment. It's all the same for all of the learners. I can click on Assessed Result, and then you can check that the centre has uploaded the correct sample of evidence according to our sample requirements. So here we've got the lowest mark and at the bottom is the highest mark. So this is a good way for you to check whether they've uploaded the correct representative sample that we're needing for the cohort of synoptic assessments. Here, in this case, my cohort is only 10, so they'll have evidence uploaded against every candidate for 10 candidates. So obviously that will meet with sample requirements, but if your cohort of learners is more than 12, then you'll need to make sure that the learner with the highest mark here and the lowest mark here have got evidence uploaded, along with 10 other learners across the full range in between those highest and lowest marks. You also have to check that the sample is representative of all the markers, so that's where it's useful to sort it into marker in the column marker. So has marker 1 been uploaded with evidence? Has marker 2, marker 3? Finally, you can sort the evidence column too. It's not going to work on this demonstration here because every single learner has been uploaded with evidence, but if you had a cohort of 50 students with 12 of your learners with evidence, you could click on this and all the paper clips would be brought to the top, and you would then just be able to look at all of the students who've been uploaded with evidence. Now, once you're starting to moderate the assessment, you need to set the status of the learner's records. The status has been currently set by the centre as marking complete, but we need you to move this on within the system to ready for moderation, and that will allow you to then view the uploaded evidence and to enter your moderated mark. To do this, if you tick the box in the top left corner, it highlights the whole cohort in green. You can then change the status to ready for moderation and click save. You can do this one by one. You can click individual candidates one by one, but we prefer that we think it's best if you address the whole cohort at one time. So you're now in a position to start reviewing the uploaded evidence. And again, perhaps it might be useful for you to click on Has Evidence to bring all of the paper clips to the top of the cohort. And that will just group all of the evidence together for you. But the paper clip itself, it can't be clicked on to view the evidence. It just says that evidence does exist. To actually view the evidence, you have to click on the 1, 2, 3 bullet point icon on the right-hand side. Once you click on this, a box appears below the candidate's name, and you can see what the centre has uploaded for this learner. Now, if you click on the titles of the evidence, you'll be able to access the uploaded document. Your computer, if I click on, let's say, the practical observation form, your computer will give you the option at the bottom to open or save the document to your computer, or save as. So it's just a regular process of saving or opening documents onto your computer. I'm going to click cancel on that. You can do that for all of the evidence. We've asked the centres to upload in this section all of the evidence that is relevant to the individual candidates here. And that's the student's work, the candidate record form, practical observation forms, and the declaration of authenticity, things like that. There's one document, however, that the centre must declare to us that they have standardised their marking, and the centre standardisation declaration is not uploaded against any one particular learner, but instead it's uploaded to this tab here. So just bear in mind that that document will be kept separate. And that's for this Documents tab is to be used for any group evidence or any evidence which applies to the whole cohort. So by clicking on the Documents tab, it takes you to another box where you can see the Centre Standardisation Declaration. That's where you should find that form. Again, it's just a case of clicking on the blue title of it and opening and saving it to your computer. Now, once the centre has uploaded something in this Documents tab, it does also appear in the Messages tab, but the centre might add a note of explanation here. They might explain what the document is for. They might say something about any missing evidence, but they're really not required to do this. And it's worth a glance. You can take a look at it, And you can add a note here too, but really we would prefer you to communicate anything directly via email with your centres if you have any queries around the evidence that they have uploaded. That's because any messages that you enter here won't be received by the centre as a notification. They're likely to miss your messages that you put in here. So ignore this messages tab for now. The 2 pages that you're looking at is the assessment records. Again, you can see all the candidates here. Open up their evidence, and the documents tab where the centre declaration form will be held. So now, once you've viewed the candidate evidence and centre documentation for a candidate, and you've taken a look at the documents and undertaken your moderation, you can then go and enter your marks. That can only be done, however, when all the statuses are ready for moderation, which you've changed it to, because there the moderated result appears in this column where you can select a mark from the drop-down menu. Every time you make a change to any candidate, if you enter a mark, if we say 16 for this learner, the centre says 17, we say 16, the candidate gets highlighted in green. This one I put in 38, agree with the centre. And if you're not actually moderating a candidate, if it's not part of your sample, this one here will be the lowest marked learner. This one here might not be part of my sample. I'm just going to leave it with the 3 dots. You don't need to enter a mark for the candidates that are not part of your sample. Now, if you do need to refer back to the centre for any reason, which I'll cover shortly, you can do that. But what we'd like you to do right now is just go through the candidates within the sample, enter the marks, and then you can change the status to moderation in progress. And that will save your marks that you've just entered there. Now, if you make any changes to it and don't click moderation in progress and save, you'll lose the mark that you've entered there. It won't be saved. Now, after completing your moderation of the first couple of assignments, you really need to contact your principal moderator or lead moderator to let them know that you've completed your work. You've done your first moderation of a synoptic assignment. The lead moderator or principal moderator will sample and quality assure your marking. They'll get back to you with some feedback, may even ask you to adjust your marking, but only after your PM or lead moderator are happy that you are marking to standard, then they'll give you approval to formally submit your marks. When you have approval to submit your marks, you'll need to change the status to moderation complete. I'll show you that in a second, but please remember, you must only do this after you've been approved to do so by your lead moderator or principal moderator, and after they've sampled your marking. So once you've had the authorization from your PM, or lead moderator, to submit your marks to us, again, select all of your candidates, or select them one by one, but we prefer that you address the whole cohort at one time where possible. And then you can change it to moderation complete this time and click save. You'll see at this point that the moderated result column has saved your mark in there, and you can't change it now. So you won't be able to change it back if you do need to make any amendments. And if you need to undo this, you'll need to contact the technicals and moderation support team. So I've just changed the centre and assessment details here in the search assessment records to show you how I'm going to refer candidates back to the centre. So in this case, I've now accessed the centre. Oops, I'll remove that. 056835. 056835. With the synoptic, the qualification 1145-30 and assessment ID 1145-031. If I click on search learners, I get the cohort of students there, 5 students this time. The learners here are all with the status of marking complete. However, one of the learners, testing black here, when I open up the evidence, and open up the next student, go back to testing black. The evidence for testing black, there's not been a candidate record form uploaded, there's no declaration of authenticity uploaded. So this candidate, I'm going to refer him back to the centre to ask the centre to upload the forms. Now to do that, you just simply need to highlight the student that you're going to refer back to the centre. You can change it to referred to centre and click save. I've done it just for one student, but again, you can choose all of them if you want to refer a whole cohort back, if perhaps the centre hasn't uploaded the evidence for the full sample that they need to. So it's just a simple process of ticking the students that you need to send back to the centre to amend some of the details for them, and click save. I'm going to refer the whole cohort back here, just for argument's sake. So when it's referred to centre, you won't be able to access the moderated result column. Now, it's important to mention that you need to email the centre to inform them of where you've referred the candidates back to them, and also to detail in your email the additional information you require from them. They'll be able to see the candidates in question when they log into the portal, and they'll be able to upload the additional evidence and make the requested changes before resubmitting. When they've done so, the candidates will again display on your portal as marking complete in your list of candidates in that synoptic sample. We just need to reiterate the importance of keeping your principal moderator and or lead moderator in the loop when you've finished your marking. Your principal moderator and lead moderator will sample your marking at various points throughout your moderation process. Immediately after you've attended your standardization activity, your principal moderator and lead moderator will sample the first centre that you mark. Now, this synoptic assessment cohort needs to remain at moderation in progress for all candidates in the cohort, so that the PM or lead moderator can sample your marking and provide feedback to you. By keeping it on this status, I'll change the learners here, where the centre has referred black testing back to us and uploaded some more evidence. So if I select the whole cohort and change it to moderation in progress, if you keep your cohort on moderation in progress with your own moderated marks in there, and you've spoken to your lead moderator that you've done or principal moderator that you've done your marking, once the principal moderator or lead moderator can confirm that the marking is to standard, you can then change all of the statuses for all candidates to moderation complete, but only once you've had that authorization from the principal moderator. So following the first sampling, the principal moderator may approve you to go ahead and change the statuses of all subsequent cohorts that you might be moderating to moderation complete as soon as you've finished entering marks. And being approved by your principal moderator means that the PM will no longer review your marking. However, they may continue to want to sample your marking, and until you've been given explicit approval to change the status to moderation complete, just like this, and save, until you've been given explicit approval to change that status, you must wait until your principal moderator has sampled your moderation and asked you to change the status. Like that. Again, once the status has been changed, you no longer have access to change the moderated result or enter any marks. And at that point, if you need to make any amendments, if the principal moderator needs to make any amendments, you need to get in touch with City and Guilds moderation support team. Okay, I've returned to the search function on the search assessment record screen because I want to now cover your responsibilities around the verification of the centre assessed component. Centres will also be entering assessed results and evidence for the centre assessed components, and these are internally assessed units. They don't contribute to the overall technical qualifications grade, but they're a requirement for candidates to complete in order to certificate. If you're a moderator for technical qualifications with these centre assessed components, you still need to use the moderation portal to view the grades and evidence that the centre has submitted, but you don't need to enter any marks yourself. These components are subject to a verification exercise where you'll review a sample of the evidence to ensure the accuracy of the centre's assessment decisions. And unlike moderation, however, you'll provide feedback to the centres via email using the centre assessed components feedback email template, which can be found on the moderator document library so that they can revise their marking. What we want you to do is to sample one centre assessed component, and once you're happy with the centre assessment decisions, you can approve all of their centre assessed components by changing the status to moderation complete. So for centre assessed components, the optional and mandatory units, you'll look at the centre cohorts, the grades and evidence, exactly the same as with the synoptic assignments. You'll see the available centre assessed components in the assessment drop-down menu. Your principal moderator will have provided some guidance regarding which of these components you will need to sample, because not all of them will be approved for you to sample. So I'm going to go back and select the original centre and the equine care qualification. And looking at this, bearing in mind that it brings all of the other qualifications in here, we're not looking at engineering on the 1145, but we are looking at the 0172 qualification. We've already done the synoptic assignment, but there is one more component to the qualification that we would need to look at, and this would be the centre assessed component that you would need to be looking at and verifying. So if I search on the learners, as with the synoptic assignments, you need to select all the candidates showing as marking complete. So again, they're all at marking complete. And change the status again to ready for moderation. Again, that gives you access to looking at the evidence that has been uploaded. We've got the candidate evidence there. And you just need to look at the supporting evidence that they've uploaded for the candidates in the sample. As you can see, the portal does allow you to enter a moderated result, but you're not required to do so for the centre assessed components. You have to provide feedback to the centres, and this feedback should be given via email using the centre assessed component email feedback template that you've been provided on the moderator document library. This is whether you approve of the assessment decisions or not. When you've reviewed the candidate evidence and centre assessment decisions, you have two options. If the centre assessment decisions are accurate and no further action is required, then you can approve the centre marking. Again, the default status is set at the ... here. So you just leave that. You don't need to enter any marks into there at all. But we approve of the decision by the centre. We're going to highlight all of the students. All have been ticked using that top left box. And then I can change the status to moderation complete. Alternatively, the centre assessment decisions are inaccurate or there's a clerical error. Now, in this instance, you'll still select all candidates and change the action to refer to centre. You'd have to follow that up with an email to the centre with the feedback and suggestions on how to amend their marking. And once the centre has again referred it back to you as marking complete with any appropriate action as indicated in your feedback completed, they resubmit their grades and evidence back to you, and you can continue with your verification and change it to moderation complete. Once the first centre assessed component has been marked as moderation complete, you can go back to the assessment records and drop down the box and look at any other assessments which are there for that qualification, which are the centre assessed components, and mark it off as complete. So you can go to each one and do exactly the same, search the learners and sign it off as complete. And that is only after your PM has approved your verification of the centre assessed components, you're satisfied with the centre assessment decisions, and therefore you can approve all of the other centre assessed components for that qualification. Now, I just brought up the employer involvement component. For those technical qualifications that do include an employer involvement component, centres are required to enter the outcome for each candidate in the assessed result column, and as well as any group evidence to demonstrate that the requirement has been met. For these components, for the employer involvement components, we don't require moderators to undertake any quality assurance check because this will be managed internally by City and Guilds. But we do request that you change the status of all candidates to moderation complete in order for us to undertake these quality checks. And if a centre has not entered results or outcomes for their candidates, in this case, then please contact the moderation support team so that they can contact the centre. In this case here, there's no assessed result except for one. Please contact the moderation support team and let them know that you need some more evidence to be uploaded by the centre. However, if all of the assessed results were entered here, you could just select the learner. Again, you have to move it on from marking complete to ready for moderation. And then you have to move it on to moderation complete. Now, if you encounter any issues or difficulties when using the moderation portal, which are not covered within this training video, we recommend that you first refer to the Moderator Handbook and the Marking and Moderation Guide for general information on the moderation process. There's also a guide to the quality assurance of the centre assessed components available within the Moderator document library on our website, which will also be useful for you. Finally, we recommend that you keep in touch with the technicals and moderation support team for any assistance on the telephone number and email address provided here. It's 01924 206 719 and moderationsupport@cityandguilds.com. If you have any IT issues, please contact Technicals and Moderation Support. They'll be able to troubleshoot your problem and refer onwards to IT if necessary. Thank you very much for your time and attention throughout this video. I hope you have a fantastic day.